The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hooray for Hollywood, where stars are living large, in mansions with their servants and their credit cards in charge, with fame that's fleeting, but the egos never change, where everyone's a genius, except the ones who really arrange. Hooray for Hollywood, where the scandals always sell, where every whispered secret is a new tabloid's tell. Oh, how we adore the endless red carpet galore. Hooray for Hollywood, where less is always more.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast, Damn You Hollywood. And here's your host, Robert Winfrey. Yay!
That's about the only yay we're going to get all evening, folks, just as a heads up. This could be a bit of a long one.
Just going to randomly do that tonight. Okay, who is begging together pots and pans?
My husband's throwing away something in the background, if that's what you hear.
Tell him to do it louder. I can't hear it.
Hold on. Andre, stop what you're doing. Stop for like 2 seconds.
Okay, yeah, now I don't hear it.
Okay, now go back to what you were doing.
Can he bang the dog or a cat or something into what he's doing?
Do you hear it now?
Yes. Did he just throw himself into it?
He's just ripping up cardboard. My God, this microphone is sensitive. Wow.
It happens sometimes.
Honestly, it sounded like he was recording an album with Phil Anselmo called Phil Anselmo and the Illegals, where you take pots and pans, you see, and you put them inside a metal garbage can, and then you roll it down a hill. You also cook bacon naked in the kitchen. That's how Phil Anselmo in the Illegals album is recorded.
Okay, hang on. Let me try something here. Can you guys still hear me?
Like, we can still hear you.
Okay, let's see if that helps.
Okay. Please tell him I need him to make even more noise. If he could get a trombone, that would be fantastic. Just in case.
If I could play the trombone, I would do so for you.
Just in case, like, and I'll tell you another thing about Knives Out. Whoa! Whoa! All right.
Okay, no, sorry. Brand new headset. This is my first time recording with it, so I honestly didn't know how sensitive this microphone was. And yeah, it didn't come with a diffuser. I just pulled this off of the old headset, so.
Wonderful. All right, Robert.
Well, tonight, everybody, for our first proper Damn You Hollywood of 2026, we're tackling a streaming movie, because that's just how we roll.
From 2025. Wake Up Dead Man, marketed as Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, is a 2025 American mystery film written and directed by Hollywood's most recent monster, Rian Johnson. It is the third film.
Rian Johnson is going to wind up being a case study in a man who needs a good collaborator and editor.
Rian Johnson is only a monster to the star. And it's, we'll go over the whole thing about him with Star Wars later on in the show.
I hope not. It is the third film in the Knives Out series. It stars Foghorn Leghorn, who reprises his role as Master Detective Benoit Blanc. Daniel Craig, sorry. The ensemble cast also includes
Daniel Craig as Foghorn Leghorn is how that should have gone.
Yeah. Josh O'Connor, Glenn Close, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Cailee Spaeny, Daryl McCormack, and Thomas Haden Church playing the Crypt Keeper. The film had its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 6, 2025. It was released in select theaters November 26 before streaming on Netflix December 12th. Like its predecessors, it's generally receiving positive reviews from the seals, with most praise for the performances, and particularly those of Foghorn Leghorn and O'Connor. Alexis,
Nuts to that.
whatever it is you're going to say it to me in like 10 words or less because I have things to get to.
I just find it interesting that a good murder mystery movie apparently will get you a blank check to cast as many big name actors as you want. Between this and Kenneth Branagh's take on the Hercule Poirot films, it's like, wow, all 5 of those movies, they just keep getting in so many major A-listers.
I will see your thesis and raise you my own. I don't think this is any different from how Only Murders in the Building has developed. That, once everyone saw what it was and what care Martin and Short put into it, and I meant what I said, Martin and Short, not Martin Short, both guys. I think people then want to be a part of something that feels prestige. And without getting into a fight over what Rian Johnson is and was, he is perceived at this point, based on the success of the previous 2 and some other things, he is seen as somewhat of a prestige director. So if Rian Johnson calls for an already popular mystery series on Netflix, why wouldn't you be a part of that? That's kind of my take on why people want to work with him. Nobody has integrity. Have you seen Hollywood lately? There's no integrity there.
I'm just saying, look, you asked why someone would say no. I'm giving you options here.
Okay.
Robert, do the world a favor. Go take a shot of scotch and some chocolate and cheer the fuck up.
Anyway.
Alcohol would not make me pleasant.
For the love of God. So Robert and I, more importantly, reviewed Knives Out and Glass Onion. I have composed our thoughts into a well-crafted intro here, which I would like to share with you. The journey of the Knives Out film series showcases the contrasting results of the director's approach to the mystery genre, moving from the phenomenal success and meticulous craftsmanship of the original to the
self-indulgent.
Self-indulgent structural pitfalls of its sequel, Glass Onion. The 2019 film Knives Out was a critical and commercial success, deemed a genuinely good movie and a brilliant twist on the classic whodunit, the type of mystery Agatha Christie might have penned. Director Rian Johnson was praised for his willingness to create interesting and thoughtful films. The movie subverted the traditional murder mystery structure by revealing the death of the novelist Harlan Thrombey to be a suicide or an accidental overdose mistaken for one by his nurse Marta, only 13 minutes into the film. This recontextualized the story, turning it into a nail-biter centered not on discovering the killer, but on whether Marta was the sympathetic lead, could get away with the presumed crime. The acting was consistently lauded as stellar, with the wealthy Trombe family characterized as a collection of snarky vultures and morons whose political debates were hilarious for their accurate presentation of profoundly stupid real-life arguments. You should have been at my daughter's birthday dinner tonight. Chris Evans garnered particular praise for successfully stretching his abilities to play the villainous bag of shit Ransom, a significant change from his virtuous Captain America persona. Even Benoit Blanc's unusual wandering southern accent, which drifted between Kentucky and Louisiana, was considered possibly intentional, designed to keep others off guard. The critics noted Blanc's final deduction monologue was somewhat unwieldy, and overlong, Knives Out was lauded as a very well thought out, very well crafted, and very well executed. The sequel, Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, a standalone film released in 2022, brought Benoit Blanc to a private Greek island during the pandemic to solve a new case involving a tech billionaire named Miles Braun. However, the sequel failed to live up to the standard of the original, with one characterization suggesting the film was just dumb and unbearably self-indulgent. The main structural flaw identified in Glass Onion was the decision to pause the central mystery halfway through and reshow much of the previous action from the perspective of Janelle Monáe's character. This hour-long rehashing was considered a directorial mistake, removing all narrative momentum and insulting the audience because it made the initial viewing experience and attention to detail pointless. Furthermore, the sequel's characterizations were seen as lacking the interesting depth of the original cast. Instead of compelling individuals, the ensemble was described as caricatures based on real people Rian Johnson disliked, such as Elon Musk and others. While the acting was acceptable, only Dave Bautista was singled out for demonstrating real range, earning this distinction of possibly being the best wrestler turned actor due to his selective successful roles. The film's thematic core was also
Dave Bautista.
The film's thematic core was also a point of major contention. While Knives Out presented a deft class commentary, Glass Onion was criticized for being way too pitchy, culminating in a giant temper tantrum that simplistically suggested the only solution to the rich and powerful being overly entrenched was to literally destroy their wealth and property. Ultimately, where the first film was a complete success, the sequel was a far, far cry from that, collapsing under critical scrutiny. Alexis, really, really quickly, give me 50 words or less on both movies collectively.
I thought the first Knives Out was ingenious. I agree with you guys about the switch with Chris Evans going from playing Captain America to being someone who literally goes eat shit and die. It's just surreal. It's actually kind of funny. He's been playing those characters a lot. You can't help but get the feeling that the minute he was done as Captain America, it's like, finally, I don't have to play a goody two shoes anymore. I can be an asshole. Really loved it. Glass Onion was a little less engaging, but I blame that on the fact that, yeah, it is not so much a murder mystery. I thought the characters were a lot more fun in that. I loved Kate Hudson essentially channeling her mother's earlier days. I think the charm in Glass Onion actually was a lot of the background notes. As a former art student, I couldn't help but laugh at some of the paintings that Edward Norton's character had hanging up. There was a running joke about a very famous one that was hung upside down. It's like, and of course, he's such a fake. He doesn't even realize he's done that. So it was little things like that I enjoyed.
Okay. Robert, having heard our past reviews compressed into a short essay, any thoughts about, in the year of our Lord 2026, any thoughts about Rian Johnson and the Knives Out movies?
He's got a blank check from Netflix, so he's going to keep recycling this until they tell him no. And Daniel Craig seems happy to take the check as well, so God bless. But I think by the time we get to the end of this one, it's pretty clear that he's no longer riffing on interesting material. These are just vehicles for him to whine about whatever he wants to whine about at the moment.
That was my takeaway from the end of Wake Up Dead Man, and thinking back to the other two. I didn't think about the other two up until I started to do the prep work for tonight's review. And Wake Up Dead Man is quickly becoming a grievance series that, instead of doing really interesting murder mysteries, he's working through his stuff. And like, look, I'll give him more credit than we gave the Wachowski sister who did The Matrix Reintruded. At least he makes well-crafted movies. You can argue about about like the screenplay and some of the characterizations, but like, his movies are coherent. Hers wasn't. The particular Matrix movie, the fourth one that I joked about. Hang on. Let me get this out, and then you can have the conch shell. My problem with the Wachowski who did the last Matrix movie was, you can't take Warner Brothers' check, do your fifth stage of the grieving process, and have it turn out this bad. You owe the studio a better movie, or don't do this. Those are your choices. My argument in favor of Rian Johnson is, at least you make good movies. Like, you want to work through your grievances with how the world operates and your petty squabbles. Okay, but then you better make a damn entertaining movie. And at least he accomplishes that much, because across 3 movies, I would not call these unentertaining. Your witness.
I'm going to disagree with you. I will give Rian Johnson the following credit. I think he is genuinely making an attempt.
Okay.
I think that within him is a good filmmaker somewhere. I mean that sincerely. Like, I actually don't hate The Last Jedi.
Neither did I. You and I both could got the firing squad on that one.
I'm happy to have fought on that hill beside you, Mark.
Mm-hmm. Back to back, butt to butt, as the orcs came approaching on the small bridge.
No kidding. Glass Onion bored me. a lot.
Mhm.
I think it did. I didn't bring it up a whole lot when we reviewed it because for whatever reason, there were a few of them. I didn't want to get into that as criticism because I didn't feel it was all that useful of a comment to make. But when you basically only when you have enough story for 60 minutes, and your genius idea to lengthen it is let's retell it halfway through.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you've lost the plot. And yeah, that one I was not at all very much entertained by Glass Onion. I was not very much entertained by this one either. Spoiler for when we get to the end of the review section, but this falls somewhere between Knives Out and Glass Onion, but it's a little closer to Glass Onion than Knives Out.
Yeah, I think
For
it's
a
better than
number of
Glass Onion,
reasons.
but not by much.
So that's kind of where I land on this. Look, Rian Johnson is just happy to do whatever they're paying him to do. And
I want to clarify something. I think he makes aesthetically pleasing movies. And I think there's the misunderstanding between you and I. Because when I say good, and now I'm not being clear enough. So Take Two, if you're going to take Netflix's check, you better make it. You better at the very least make an aesthetically pleasing movie that he does.
Yeah, he's not made something as bad as Matrix Resurrections or whatever it was.
Yeah. All right.
You have.
Alrighty.
I think Ed Wood did better than that most of the time.
I'm gonna say this, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, and I'm taking a bit of a chance here, but I was not excited to talk about this movie with you. I did mention that to you off air.
You did.
So this isn't a complete blindside. And it's not that I don't want to hear your religious convictions and fervor, or your very acute way of looking at the world through a religious lens, which I think is valid. It's not that I don't want to hear it. This movie is deliberately provocative in a way that usually gets your dander up, and I just don't want to be fire hosed on anymore. So that's why I was not really looking forward to this, because I was like, as soon as when I got done with the movie, my exact thought at the conclusion of this movie is, oh no, this is going to make Robert so mad. And I'm like, I don't want to do this review anymore. But I didn't want to say that because then Alexis was like, well, then I'll host. And I'm like, no, that's not what it is.
No, I just love that that's the take. I mean, I love that all the years of us watching movies for the podcast or for whatever purposes, we now have these habits ingrained in our brain and an immediate reaction to it.
But it's different than I got out of Minecraft and thought, Robert's going to hate this because fuck you then. Whatever. That's what we're here for. I don't give a shit. This is, and no offense to Alexis, but when religion is something as deeply personal and is a giant part of your personality as it is with Robert, and then you watch a movie like this and you go, oh, God damn it. I don't want to see my friend have to be tortured by this asshole's fucking perception of what religion is or isn't, or misunderstanding of what religion is or isn't. So it's like, the problem with a movie like this is it puts me in the position of having to defend Rian Johnson, and I don't want to, because you're going to do a Ghostbusters, specifically fucking Harold Ramis, and I'm the bar where you're just kind of killing me with the proton pack, and and then there's Alexis going, hey, nice shooting, Tex, and I'm dead on the ground.
Yeah, if you wanted to say you're gonna do a Ghostbusters, in this instance, it would be more. You are William Atherton walking after the destruction of.
The 75 pounds of.
Why? This man has no dick. Anyway,
William, you would be Peck.
Okay, well, as long as I'm Bill Murray, I'm fine with that.
Anyway, so I'm going to give you a chance.
With that sentiment.
Going right past that stop sign. Robert, that's where I'm my stance on this. I'm going to give you a chance to defend yourself, I guess, respond, and you can go into
I'll happily respond to that. Rian Johnson is not theologically intelligent enough, well-read enough, or just overall smart enough to actually insult my religious convictions. He's a boob stumbling around in something that annoys him personally. I do not care. My criticism of this movie has nothing to do with its take on religion. Not a darn thing.
Oh, thank God, no pun intended.
If you want my first of all, not Catholic. So a giant chunk of that doesn't bother me to begin with.
Mhm.
But if you want my sort of generalized take on like where I think he gets stuff wrong, happy to do so.
Save it to
hang on.
the end. I was going to save it to the end of the craft.
Okay, I can maybe talk about it theologically. More importantly, I'm quite happy to talk about the number of ways he is simply obtuse about religious reality, because there's several presuppositions baked into the way he approaches this that are factually incorrect based on all available data. That has nothing to do with my actual religious worldview.
Well, I'm interested in hearing that, and I think so with some of the audience, but after we talk about the movie. So let's talk about
Happy
the movie.
to leave it to the end. If there's time and inclination, I do not need to throw it out there.
We're 20 minutes in, and unless you do a 20-minute interrupted by Alexis fucking plot synopsis, believe me, there'll be time. So I don't have a lot to say about this movie for once.
Not a whole lot for me either, but yeah, so if you want the plot, it goes a little bit as follows. We open with Benoit Blanc, not to be confused with Beignet Blanc, who is the Muppet version of Benoit Blanc.
Oh, that was such a cute little
That
Sesame
was, in
Street
fact, hilarious, because I wanted the stinger, man. I really wanted the stinger to be, crap, I forgot his name. Daniel Craig. No, I wanted Daniel Craig to be at the end, standing, having got a business card, and in that southern accent go, well, sorry, just after the case, like, sorry, before I go, could you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Because there's been
way too cheesy.
Yeah, that's why it would work.
And
Rian Johnson at this point cheeses his brand. Anyway, he is reading a summation from one of our main characters, a priest, Father Judd, a former boxer, who killed a man in the ring. Then I watched him hitting a heavy bag and wondered, why did they sanction you fighting an 8-year-old? Because that's the only way you got that body on your record. But he is describing the sequence of events that led up to what he calls the Good Friday murder. Because, of course, he's a priest. He punched out a deacon back when he was in his previous location. And then Jeffrey Wright took him aside and said, look, no one cares that you hit the guy. We all kind of want to hit the guy, but you did hit the guy, and that's not really cool. So we're sending you out to hang out with Josh Brolin, and good luck to you. So you're sent out to this little parish in someplace. It's the actual location is never specified.
I think it's like upstate New York.
Well, he's from Albany, but they don't say where he's been sent. They give the name of the town, but they don't give a geographic location beyond town name. So I'm assuming New York State somewhere, but doesn't really matter. So he goes there and finds the very abrasive, confrontational, Mark Radulich adjacent version of Josh Brolin. Mark, if you were a Monsignor, I expect this is largely how you would behave.
Eventually punching somebody in the solar plexus?
No, just that first confession reminded me way too much of some of our interactions.
Oh, that would totally be me.
The physical violence, no, but the...
I was wondering where you were going with that, and I'm like, oh, no.
The graphic recreation of your...
Yeah. Like I haven't done that in real life, just not as a confessional.
I'm sure you have.
I mean, are we counting the Metal Hammer of Doom Extra as a confessional? Because in that case, then yes.
In that case, you've done that, and the other thing involving the midget and the salad dressing. Yes. Anyway, so he's there, and it's a little confrontational. Josh Brolin is an aggressive priest, angry, likes just kind of being,
he's doing
out
Hamish
there.
Linkletter from fucking Mass Appeal or whatever the fuck the name of that show was.
It was Midnight Mass, and Linklater's character was a lot more forgiving at first than that.
I will never forget that one speech about God's holy warriors, and then just throws his hands up and walks away.
Yeah, he's the religious raining down fire type of priest.
And Glenn Close is the other person assigned to this location. She does a lot of the bookkeeping and keeping up. You've got the groundskeeper. You've got a bit of and you have our other cast of main characters, allegedly. You have Kerry Washington playing Kerry Washington. You have Andrew Scott playing. Who is it that Rian Johnson was pissed about when he decided this was the character he was going to do?
White people, MAGAs.
No.
No.
Orson Scott Card.
Okay.
He's trying to pillory Orson Scott Card here.
Got it.
Would be my hunch. You've got poor Jeremy Renner playing somebody.
Drunk Jeremy Renner.
You remember there was Jeremy Renner actually exists in the Glass Onion universe. Remember there was like the Jeremy Renner limited edition hot sauce. Yeah. So it's like, so apparently there's a Jeremy Renner doppelganger in upstate New York in the Knives Out universe.
Okay. Keep a little bit faster.
One would assume. And there's Kerry Washington's sort of kid. More on that later.
Adopted.
And yeah, these are who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing one.
The girl in the wheelchair.
Right. What's
cello player has some kind of, yeah, she's got some kind of, I don't think they really go into what it is. It's some kind of nerve issue.
Of course maybe like an specific.
It's Cailee Spaeny playing Simone Vivane, a disabled former concert cellist hoping to be cured by a miracle. Move.
Yeah, she's got some kind of nerve damage from repetitive action of playing the cello, which happens to concert level musicians all the time. And this is our core group. And the crux of the story is that on Good Friday, we get more of the story here. We're over the course of Father Judd being present here. He sees how Josh Brolin handles things, and he's very angry. And he yells at people. And he drives people out of the church. And he is slowly done what every cult leader does. You drive a bunch of people out. You get a handful of people that are your core believers, and then you re-expand outward. This is classic behavior in that respect. And that's kind of what he's been up to. And, Father Judd's like, man, this stinks. I'm a teddy bear Jesus guy, not a fire and brimstone Jesus guy. What are we doing here? So there's a little bit of a clash of personalities there. And then on it culminates in Good Friday, where Josh Brolin is found. He gives a sermon, walks over into a little utility closet to have a drink because he's that kind of priest.
It's the Church of Glorious Fortification for a reason.
And then he falls over. And everyone goes to have a look like, hey, wait a minute, you okay in there, buddy? And they find he's been stabbed in the back and is now dead. And Father Judd looks like a pretty decent suspect for this, but other than that, everyone's like, boy, this is a really difficult mystery. And the father prays in the church. I don't know what I'm doing. I know I didn't kill that guy. Kind of wanted him dead. I'm struggling with the guilt, but I didn't kill him. God, can you please help me out here? And Benoit Blanc walks in through the front door of the church with his impeccable sense of timing.
Because subtlety is for cowards.
And Benoit Blanc takes him through some of those events. We kind of get that rehashed. He's here helping investigate. We view some of the deadness of Josh Brolin. He winds up being interred, and we get some of the backstory along the way. See, Josh Brolin is a several generation priest, which is weird considering, the vow of celibacy, but hey. And his mother was a very loose, unstable woman who trashed the church at one point and then died in front of her father's grave. She had been led to believe that a fabulous fortune could be hers if she would just, stop being terrible. And she couldn't do it. So she stayed terrible. She received no fortune, had a brain hemorrhage, and died tragically.
And then he died.
So that's kind of, again, some of the backstory there. And they try to figure out what happened. And there's really only a few ways that a locked murder mystery actually goes. So they go through a few of those. Mila Kunis shows up as the sheriff because, of course. And ultimately, it's revealed that Benoit Blanc is pretty sure that Judd stabbed poor Josh Brolin in the back, because that's really the only way this works, if you remove a few other possibilities. So we dance around a little bit about who may have done it. We get some more backstory for different characters. Ultimately concluding with Benoit Blanc going publicly, I can't really solve this murder after he solved the murder, but he says he can't.
You missed the resurrection.
And then he lets Glenn Close give the actual confession, because it was her all along, because of course it was the religious white woman. And she explains that she was the one, we knew some of this earlier, she knew what had happened to the fortune from the grandfather of Josh Brolin. He converted all of his liquid assets into one very large diamond of some variety, some sort of precious gem, that he then swallowed and died. So it would stay with him. And she knew where it was. And then she winds up confessing to Josh Brolin, who is the priest, that she knows about it. She knows where it is, partially because Father Judd bullied her into, confessing. And Josh Brolin, suddenly with the thought of, it's a lot of money. And really, this church is kind of dying off. And his son, because you see the guy who was adopted and raised by Kerry Washington, is actually Josh Brolin's illegitimate child. He's like, look, Dad, you have charisma. You have the force of personality. If you let me help, we can turn you into a viable political candidate. So leave behind the church. Leave behind all of this. Let me guide you to high office, and we will all profit in the land of milk and honey. And Josh Brolin goes, sure, why not? So the plan was for him to fake his death, be interred in the family mausoleum next to his dead father, next to his dead, I think it was grandfather. But enough time has passed that old boy is going to have rotted away. So we can get in, we can get the diamond. The mausoleum in question has what's called a Lazarus gate. They're a real thing. It's a type of door that is almost impossible to open from the outside, absent enough heavy machinery, but from the inside can easily be pushed open. It's all about counterweights and things like that. And then he will get that, and he will have come out as having been ascended, risen from the dead, as it were, on the third day by the hand of God, ready to assume incredible power within the larger scheme of things. This went sideways in a lot of ways, because Glenn Close was like, you know what? This is all like a pretty bad idea. So she talked with Jeremy Renner and said, could you, stab him when he's unconscious after he fakes his own death and actually turn it into his death? And Jeremy Renner goes, sure. It's a Tuesday. I can kill somebody. So he does that. Then they bury in the coffin the groundskeeper, not the body of Josh Brolin, so that he can, when the time is right, wake up, retrieve the gem, push open the tomb door, and exit. But now, because Josh Brolin's actually dead, we can dispose of his body, pretend that he has ascended, and everyone can live happily ever after, sort of. It'll be a thing. And the church will be saved, and lobster. Again, no one knows. This is badly thought out on many levels. But Jeremy Renner, being only a man, sees the glittering jewel and goes, I can totally fence this literal one of one, very well-known, high-profile piece of precious stone, and save my life, my career, my marriage, and not totally get immediately arrested for an unknown stone of this caliber being sold. He kills the poor groundskeeper. He frames the priest. He tries to kill Glenn Close, but she pulled a version of the old, I've developed an immunity to iocane powder by switching the glasses. She dumps him into this repository of goo, partially where they also have Josh Brolin's body. She confesses. She passes away. The stone falls to the ground. Benoit Blanc looks at it and goes, huh. You know, Father, Judd, you can have that. I don't know what I would do with it. What would I even do with money? What a silly concept. For I am an enlightened white Southerner. So, Father Judd rebuilds some of the church. He hides the gem. And that's kind of where things go. The novelist publishes his new book, which only attracts the audience he's already got, which makes him very, very, very sad because he hates them.
Yeah.
And Kerry Washington goes off to live her best life because, of course, she does. Rian Johnson does not write good female characters. And the son of Josh Brolin becomes internet famous, which is about the worst curse you can give someone. Because you have all this fame and very little to show for it.
Are we just about done here?
And then I'm pretty sure that's about where it ends, yeah.
Alexis, what did you think of this movie?
Well, I actually enjoyed it. I am a fan of a good murder mystery. Again, that's why I preferred The First Knives Out over Glass Onion, and that's why I preferred this over Glass Onion. I still say The First Knives Out is the best. I would rank this as the number 2 film in the series. Daniel Craig is clearly having fun playing Benoit Blanc, and I think that shows on screen. I do enjoy his performance. You can tell he's kind of having fun, hamming it up a little bit, playing very over the top with this Southern character.
No, it's just dumb. My favorite line.
Yeah, I know. I do.
Everyone fucking hates Glass Onion, but that is my favorite line.
Yes,
no,
it is.
That's dumb.
That clip still gets some use on occasion.
Yeah.
I know, right? I enjoyed the way they set this up. The letter that Judd is writing out, being used as the framing device. Rian Johnson has a talent for putting the audience in the mindset of his characters, really making us look through their eyes as we see the world and how things are going on. And I think that is his strongest talent as a director. I'm not going to comment on the religious aspect. I'm not a churchgoer, but I enjoyed all of these actors. These are all phenomenal character actors. Josh Brolin is always great. Glenn Close. I mean, when has that woman ever turned in a bad performance?
Glenn Close is the...
What?
Just go ahead and say it. We're saying the same thing.
Glenn Close is the best thing about this movie, hands down.
Bar none. She's Glenn Close is oftentimes the best thing in any movie. But so, can I ask you a question, Alexis?
Mm-hmm.
I know you're reading from your notes, and I'm going to let you read back from your notes. I'm not asking you to give your thoughts. I'm asking you to give the why you won't give your thoughts on the religious part of this movie. Because I think I know, but I don't want to speak for you. No, I heard you say you're not a churchgoer. Try again, sweetie. I'm asking for you to be a little bit more revealing.
I really don't have much to say on it. I've given my thoughts on the whole. He was the, fire and brimstone style type of minister. I got a laugh out of the whole Our Lady of Perpetual Fortitude. And then when you see him drink, it's like, yeah, fortitude, all right. There's a lot of little background jokes in this film and in all of the Knives Out films. I really love movies that have that little attention to detail. And another thing I love about it, I did watch this movie twice, and I love that the first time when you learn about the murder mystery, when you watch it again, you see all the little hints that you didn't notice before. When the Monsignor goes into the closet, if you look carefully, you can see the wolf's head sewn onto his vestment. Not something you would have noticed before. And I love, it's like, oh, I see it now. Because I love that they could actually say, it's like, this was laid out. And this, it's the kind of thing you really pay attention and you can catch on with the murder mystery. And I enjoy that. Like I said, I really couldn't find anything to complain about that much with this movie. I just simply enjoyed the first Knives Out better, which is why when we did our top 10, this was an honorable mention for me. If I had enjoyed this more than the original, I probably would have put this at number 10 and knocked Nouvelle Vague into my honorable mentions.
Okay, but I genuinely enjoyed the fact that you picked that for your number 10, so I'm glad it ended up that way. All right, I said before, Rian Johnson makes very pretty movies. The use of color paletting, the choice of color paletting from Knives Out with earth tones, beiges, it had a very old money, upper class feel to it, and that was done purposefully. Glass Onion was like bright and cartoony, and I think purposely so. This one is almost like monochrome. Like it's very black and white in a lot of places. The exterior shot of the church are gorgeous. This it's the setting is supposed to be upstate New York. Where in upstate New York? Could be fucking Buffalo, could be New Paltz, who knows?
Well, they didn't ask for steamed ham, so we know it's not Albany.
Yeah. My point is that there are parts of upstate.
Well, it is Albany. It would be around Albany, not Utica, because that's where.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, wait a minute.
I got that. I get that one backwards on occasion, but yeah.
Okay, so there are very pretty parts of upstate New York outside of the concrete jungle that is Albany. And I know because I've driven through most of upstate New York.
Yeah.
So
it was a great use of the forest layout around the church.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. Is that it's a very pretty landscape. There were very pretty landscape shots around the church. Rian Johnson really knows how to frame shots. I give him a lot of credit, and his cinematographer, his director of photography, all a lot of credit, because regardless of whatever the movie's about or what's going on in the movie, they all look great. So that's like, for me, like other than Glenn Close, that's the star of the show. And speaking of Glenn Close, two things. I'm not the I know who did it guy within the first 10 minutes. That would be someone like Robert. This is the first time where I'm just, as soon as they introduce her character, I'm like, she killed him. I didn't even know who him was yet.
Yeah.
Like I never watched the trailer for this. I knew nothing about it. I just knew we were doing it and that it was a Knives Out movie and it was Rian Johnson and that Daniel Craig would be in it. That's as much as I knew about this movie when I started watching it on Netflix. I'm trying to not ruin these experiences for myself, so I don't like to look up too much ahead of time.
I thought they were going to do a Murder on the Orient Express where it turns out the entire congregation had come together and decided to kill him.
No, as soon as they introduced Glenn Close's character, I'm like, she killed whoever this is going to end up being about. I loved Josh Brolin's character. I definitely, again, I was getting Hamish Linklater vibes from him. There was another priest that, off the top of my head, who's I can't remember, that I was thinking about with a different movie priest that he reminded me of. But Josh Brolin, incredible actor, does a great job with this. He has really good chemistry with the kid playing Father Judd. Father Judd, I liked his performance in this. He's got just enough character to make him distinct, but so little character that you can still kind of project yourself onto him as being this sort of, guy, stranger in a strange land guy trying to figure things out, do what's right, and in a corrupt environment kind of a thing. This is a guy surrounded by nothing but devils, and he's trying to bring the Lord in through his innocence, and he's doing a good job with that. The boxer turned preacher thing was a bit on the nose, but that's Rian Johnson's middle name, Rian on the Nose Johnson. So everybody else is fine. Jeremy Renner is funny in this. The guy playing the writer, he's okay. The black chick is fine. Her son's fine. The story in and of itself was meh. A lot of the discussion of religion in this movie comes too much across like Rian Johnson's just, got a grievance with the Catholic Church and religion. It's a little too virtue signaling in all of this. It was hard. I tried to separate myself from it so I could actually enjoy the movie. But when he's going to be that heavy-handed about it, I can't ignore it. And if you're that heavy-handed and that stupid, it actively takes away from the movie. Someone, next time get a hold of Rian Johnson and say, hey, start a blog or tone down your grievances. You're being ridiculous. The actual murder mystery in and of itself was All right. Again, it hasn't been better than Knives Out. As far as like the actual structure of the murder mystery. And Daniel Craig, the best thing he does in this is the I can't solve this case. Because everything else, I can't get Foghorn Leghorn out of my head. So it's Foghorn Leghorn running around this church trying to solve a mystery, and then he actually turns into a relatable human being after the very handed the sun through the fucking stained glass mirror, and all of a sudden I have my come to Damascus moment. Oh boy. So, but everything after that, after I kind of rolled my eyes with the sunlight through the stained glass mirror, when he's like, I can't solve this case, because he realizes that he has to let, Glenn Close confess. And then him with her and that whole shared sequence, the exchange of dialogue between the two, that is literally the best part of this movie. Like, I said this about Hamnet, it's worth watching to the end, because the end is the best part. Wake Up Dead Man, worth watching to the end, because that scene with the two of them is the saving grace of this entire movie. Robert?
Yeah, I'm gonna, let me just phrase it as follows. This movie is too long. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it doesn't need to be.
Hang on, one sec. So I started to watch that, and I guess it's something that Erica said to me, and I was just like, no, this is almost a 3-hour movie. That's not going to happen. I almost threw my iPad when I saw how long it was.
I don't mind longer movies, but you have to have a darn good reason if you're going to push 3 hours. And if I'm going to say that, frequently Martin Scorsese hasn't been able to pull it off, James Cameron hasn't been able to pull it off, my man Rian Johnson, no. Let's have a little restraint here, yes? Let's have a little bit of refining.
I think, unfortunately, a lot of directors get the idea that they can do longer films when they know it's going to streaming.
Oh, that's absolutely the reason.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we don't have to worry about the audience saying,
I'm cutting you off for a specific reason, because Robert and I have talked about this ad at length. And the reason why I'm cutting you off is because it's a very simple reason, and we've talked about it a million times. They actually encourage it. Rian Johnson could have gotten this done in 2 hours, but because Netflix is footing the bill and he has no self-control, he's making an almost 3-hour movie because do you remember when we discussed, Alexis, just say yes or no, The Bondsman?
Mm-hmm.
And we said this was a 2-hour movie. Why did they stretch this into a show? And the answer is because they want to keep people on the streaming platform for as long as possible. So movies are now turned into shows. I know what you did last summer. The show that we did, that was a movie that was turned into a show.
Back up. I thought I'd almost blocked all of that out of my head.
To torture you. My point is, right? And if he was making this for like Sony or for Universal, they'd have told him no more than 2 hours.
Heck, or Warner Brothers, if this was getting the theatrical release.
Right. Because theaters need you to turn this shit over. They don't want longer movies. They need you to turn this shit over so that they can get as many viewings as possible.
Unless you're James Cameron, to which he says, yeah, then they'll have to miss part of the movie and then they'll go see it again.
Unless you're a streamer, then they want you on the platform for as long as possible. So I guarantee you they would prefer if he made a 6-hour cut of this. So keep going, Robert.
They let Zack Snyder do a 6-hour cut of one of his things. Why wouldn't they let Rian Johnson?
That's what I'm saying. Like, here come the rise of the 6-hour slop fests.
Yeah, we're not that far. So that bothered me. The murder mystery itself, like as has been mentioned, is fine. Part of the problem with it, the supporting cast, the characters that you're supposed to be somewhat invested in, aren't interesting.
Not
and if they're not interesting, you can't get invested in them. At least Glass Onion, if I was going to say one good thing about Glass Onion, I could maybe say two. You cared a little bit about Dave Bautista and Kate Hudson's characters. They were moderately memorable. I couldn't tell you anyone else who was in that movie, apart from Daniel Craig and Edward Norton. I know there was the twin, who's the character we follow most of the time, but there's like 3 other people there. No impression was left on me whatsoever about any of them. it's going to be worse for this. I'm going to remember Jeremy Renner because Jeremy Renner. That's about it.
I hate to admit it. I mostly remember, I can't even pronounce her name, Cailee, whatever the hell her last name is.
Yeah, utterly unmemorable.
No, I remember her because of the scene where she stands up from the wheelchair and Glenn Close's character shouts, "It's a miracle!" She just looks at her like, I can walk. It just hurts.
That was funny.
I
legitimately got a
Every
laugh.
time I looked at her, I thought like maybe it was like Jennifer Lawrence's Spawn. She had a very Jennifer Lawrence face.
I would have sworn it was Leia Sado, but okay.
Anyway, your thoughts on the movie, sir?
So the lack of strong supporting characters and characters that you can get invested in. Again, I mean, take the original Knives Out for a second. You not only had Chris Evans, you had Jamie Lee Curtis, you had Don Johnson. Like you had these other characters, Michael Shannon, like
Toni Collette.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't think of her name, but Toni Collette was what I was thinking of.
Toni Collette. The kid who went on to be in It is there, or he was in It, and is in that one now. He's the kid on the phone all the time. Like you have
he's
bunch.
a little internet troll.
Yeah, and there's several of those characters that I can go through. Like there's something memorable about them. This is a cast for our murder mystery that we can get invested in some capacity. You need that for a murder mystery to work. It's kind of integral to have the structure, is characters that you're investigating that you are interested in or memorable in some capacity. Utterly absent here. Utterly absent. And that's a giant failing of the script. So that's a pretty big problem. Again, Josh Brolin does fine work. Gavin O'Connor, again, is the guy who plays Judd, if memory serves. He's fine.
I was gonna say he's he's the up and comer right now. He's gonna have his next big starring role in the Steven Spielberg movie that's coming out this year.
I wish him the best. Like I don't have any reason to, dislike him or anything. But this was, the fact that it actually does center around a murder mystery once again is a giant mark in its favor over Glass Onion. But it's a little bit back and forth, not as much as Glass Onion, where we literally just retell half the movie. But taking our initial framing device and turning it into something that happens halfway through to help kind of let Benoit Blanc look at this thing in a little bit different light. Not my favorite thing, but not as bad. There's a really weird little bit of like subtext where it's not even subtext, like a sub theme where, okay, but is the story more important than the fact? And that's what helps lead Benoit Blanc towards a more correct conclusion, but it's only like referenced briefly and then never touched on again because Rian Johnson's just desperately trying to take a shot at a way people interact with religion. And it doesn't actually do anything to help the story move forward at all. And yeah, it's too long, too uninteresting. It's a little bit too repetitive in terms of, especially visually. Like there's some really good visual shots, but there's a problem you run into when you're seeing the same place over and over again, absent new context or something similar to, again, recontextualizing or reframing where we are. It just gets boring. This is a big problem I had with the Batman. We're just doing the same places over and over again in the same way over and over again because no one wanted to edit the story, I guess. I don't know. So I have a similar gripe here. Not quite as bad, but similar. And yeah, just again, better than Glass Onion, but not nearly as good as Knives Out. And look, Rian Johnson's going to keep making these because everyone involved seems to be okay with continuing to do this, but I'm profoundly over this gimmick because he's demonstrated the limits of his creative ability in this field, I think.
All right, how fast can you get through the religious stuff?
I mean, I could in fairly short order if you think it's going to be valuable.
Yes, I do think it's going to be valuable, but
Okay.
not as an hour-long podcast, as a
I-
5-minute quick, punctuation on what you've already said. That would be great.
Okay, so very briefly, as a sort of coda to this, if I wanted to actually tackle Rian Johnson's sort of pathetic attempt at deconstructing the Catholic religion, when the sum total of what you have to criticize is your gay character whining about the history of the Catholic Church, you don't have a critique. You have bad historical grievance mongering, which is uninteresting. Extraordinarily uninteresting, and frankly just makes everyone kind of roll their eyes who has two functioning brain cells to rub together. The notion that a fire and brimstone father, Monsignor, is going to narrow and isolate a church is liberal hogwash. If you want the actual, I say liberal hogwash because that's the side of the political spectrum it comes from, not because I have something wrong with liberalism. If you want the actual data on this, this is fairly stark. The more a religious institution, quote unquote, liberalizes, the more it dies. This is demonstrated, once again, over and over and over. When you look at congregation numbers, religious observance, membership in different denominations, the more you, if you want to know how I hate to phrase it this way because I'm not trying to be incendiary here, but the sooner a rainbow flag goes up in your church, the sooner it dies. Again, I'm not trying to be anti-gay here. I'm talking just about presentation. That stuff will kill your religion usually fairly quickly. And there's a mountain of evidence if you actually look into this about that. If anything, my point here being, if anything, what Josh Brolin's doing would grow his congregation.
I was going to say, they would be building, they would be money funneling in, and they would build a mall and a theme park.
Yeah, it is a view of what makes religion and religious observance and religious communities work that is informed by really, really bad academic hogwash that is ahistorical and data analysis. So there's all that. And if you want my just loose take on my other sort of pseudo gripe with this, there is a belief, to the extent that I've observed it, amongst people like Rian Johnson and his cohorts, cadre, ilk, that if you wish to reinvigorate, Christianity, then really what you need is, I've heard people refer to it as a teddy bear Jesus. It's just a teddy bear. Our Lord, Savior, and Creator is just a thing you can hug, and will tell you it's all right, and you can go to sleep with it. Nothing is asked of you. Nothing is required of you. And the fact that a chunk of
Is it nothing is asked of you, nothing is required of you is now what's inscribed on the Statue of Liberty instead of giving your satire in your poor?
It could be. And there's just a constant misunderstanding of what's going on with Christian theology about what it means to engage with it. You don't have to be perfect to receive Christ into your life. If you did, no one would be there. We all suck. But
for those of you wanting to attend the Church of Winfrey, none of you are good. Everyone sucks.
Look, man, I don't even believe in
fortitude.
Look, man, I reject original sin, as does the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But that's a deep theological take.
I just think when you say it that bluntly, it's really funny.
Okay, yeah, it's funny. Any sin separates you from God, even a minor one, separates you from his presence. Full stop. That's you, me, and everybody. We all screw up. Christ is there to save us from our sins, not, as is constantly the bit of the refrain, save us in our sins. Do whatever you want. God makes it okay. No, that's not how this works. And it's just constantly misunderstood, misapplied, and frankly, it's to the point where I think most of them are doing it on purpose because they're just trying to undermine Christianity. But that's a whole other topic that I'm not going to get into. So if you want to add my other bit of genuine criticism to what's going on with Wake Up Dead Man, to the extent that there exists religious commentary in it, it's dumb. It's stupid, badly researched. It's every bit as stupid as that Jeff Daniels monologue from the beginning of Newsroom, where Aaron Sorkin's so technologically illiterate, he sorted a spreadsheet wrong to get the information being fire hosed at you. That's a real thing. He's a moron. Stop taking what he says seriously.
We have 7 seasons of The West Wing that prove that. Ugh. All right. With that said, speaking of sorting spreadsheets wrong, here comes the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
All right. So for shits and giggles, I will tell you that Wake Up Dead Man, for the limited release that it was in theaters, earned $2.5 million. But that's not really important right now. Oh, by the way, it also had a budget of $151.7 million, and there's a thing here that says better source needed. Awesome. For the weekend, that was Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Stayed the same.
Yeah, Avatar: Fire and Ash, 3 weeks running, #1 movie in the world.
Not shocking anyone.
Yeah, Zootopia is #2. The Housemaid moved up. I told you last week on the show that I think the Housemaid from Lionsgate still a studio, believe it or not. So Lionsgate lasted longer than Warner Brothers. Yeah.
No. It's not actually lasted longer because it hasn't been around as long, but still going.
Outlasted Warner Brothers, you dick.
Still going versus Warner Brothers is.
So that moved up to 3. And
that's turning out to be a surprise hit for them. They only had like a $30 million, $35 million budget. Good for them.
Good. So I want to talk about Marty Supreme for a second. So my daughter had her 15th birthday. Everyone say happy birthday, Lily.
Happy birthday, Lily.
Good. Very nice. And we went to a Korean restaurant because that's what she wanted. It's called K-pop, actually. And my son, who is me, who is Robert, and we are the Walrus.
Never call me that again.
Is talking to my father because I don't want to anymore. I'm over it. But hey,
you know what? Mini me, go deal with my dad, and this will be funny.
Yeah. So he's engaging him in conversation. At some point, they got on the subject of Marty Supreme, and my father actually said, he was like, "I didn't think Marty Supreme was a good movie because Marty is not a good person." Yeah.
They're the same thing about There Will Be Blood.
And I just there's nothing to talk about with you. He's at a point. He's almost 80. He's at a point where he is looking at the characters who go on an arc, and saying, "Well, if you were bad the entirety of the movie, then the movie is entirely bad." That's his logic these days, and it's like I can't argue with that kind of stupidity. But when he did bring up, to his credit, he goes, "Now we don't know if Marty was a good guy by the end of the movie because he's looking at a baby, but that's not enough. Like he needed another hour of the movie of Marty like changing diapers and shit to like really drive it home that he had changed. Because my father, inference, is fucking dead.
He just desperately needs to watch It's a Wonderful Life on repeat at this point.
Yeah, it needs a few things quickly. Anywho. I will not wish death on people. I will not wish death on people. I will not wish death. Okay, Anaconda. Whew. Positive reframing. Stayed at number 5. SpongeBob went from 7 to 6 and swapped places with the Christian cartoon, which went from 6 to 7. Song Sung Blue.
Again, apparently David's pretty good.
Song Sung Blue, not about Neil Diamond, unfortunately. Both my son and
Neil
I are sad
Diamond
about
tribute band.
Who cares? Stayed at number 8. Wicked for Good, number 9, and Five Nights at Freddy's, still at number 10. We Bury the Dead from Vertical Entertainment, debuted at 11.
I'm actually looking forward to that once it gets into wide release.
That was the weekend that was. There's nothing to talk about with 2026 just yet, so let's look at 2025. Whoop. All right. Avatar: Fire and Ash is getting up there. It passed Lilo and Stitch.
It crossed the $1 billion mark. Good for it.
Yeah. It's the third. It's currently third in the world behind Zootopia and Ninja 2. It's got to
Decent
make.
chance it beats Zootopia, but I don't think it's not catching Nija 2, I think, at this point.
Well, yeah, it would need it would need to get up to 600 million more to beat Zootopia, but it's not getting all. It's not making another $1 billion, and even if it made another billion exactly, it still doesn't beat Nija 2. It would need to make $1.3 billion. I don't see that happening.
Well, don't forget, James Cameron does have a history of re-releasing his films after a while. So there's a chance by the end of 2026, it could hit that.
Entirely possible.
So you release all 3 of them at once in showings that are just 24 hours long.
I think Wicked for Good is dead. Wicked for Good landed at 518.
Pretty clearly.
Mhm.
I don't. At this point, you can rent it at home. So Wicked for Good made about 200 or 300 million less than the first Wicked movie. A giant disappointment for Universal. I take back everything I said about it.
Spinoff is dead.
Yeah, please don't do any more of these. Let's let this go. So it didn't make more than Fantastic Four. Like, that's not good. That is called, for those of you who I've alienated, that's called underperforming. It's not good. Bad. The opposite of good. Mission Impossible. I'm sorry. The Superman is still fucking hanging in there, and we're out of fucking things.
It's good. Look, it's going to hang on to its number 10 spot. Good for it. It's still wildly underperformed.
Yeah, I was going to say there's nothing else left.
They expected that to get at least another 50% of what it got, minimum.
Unless everybody in the world goes sees Five Nights at Freddy's, nothing else is left in the theater that's going to push it out of the top 10. So congratulations, Alexis. Your number one movie in the world lasted in the top 10. How do you feel about that?
It was number 3, not number 1.
3, 1. What's the difference? Anyway, so that
number
is...
one. Let's all take a moment here. Take just a moment. The number 1 movie in the world, box office wise, for 2025 did not have a theatrical American release.
Yep, it was a Chinese Chinaman cartoon.
Well, if you could do it without the racism, that would be nice.
I am Mark. Have we met?
Have we met? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a state of the world we live in, pal. So.
Just saying that. Well, I think that should just be a bigger indicator of things we need to be cognizant of going forward. Part of the reason Zootopia 2 is so successful is China loves the IP. It did middling numbers here in the States. Not bad, but middling. Overseas, it did gangbusters.
So we were listening to last week's show in the car, the year in review, and we were at the time where I was in the show when we were driving back and forth to the Korean restaurant is the part where we did our schedule and the look ahead. About 20 minutes of listening to us haggle over the schedule, Erica goes, "This could have been a meeting. Why would you put this on the air?" And I said, it used to be a meeting, and then Robert did a soliloquy with every movie, and I thought, why am I not recording this? So now, and it paid off, and Erica got to hear this. It paid off because the best moment of that entire hour-long bit was finding out that M. Night Shyamalan was teaming up with Nicholas Sparks.
Doing a Nicholas Sparks adaptation.
And Alexis's penis vagina just exploded on screen. And what is by far the best thing that's happened to me in months. I can't wait to talk about that movie.
Somehow, I would have thought that like Scorsese and Sparks was the most incongruous pairing possible. Never, but man, Shyamalan and Sparks.
Yeah, that I mean, I hate to say, I think that's what caused the reaction it did. Not just because, oh dear God, it's that and that. It's a anguish and a genuine confusion. It's like, I don't want this to exist, but how the hell is it going to come to be in the first place?
What is this monstrosity going to look like?
Yeah. You haven't sent me your list of all the movies you want to be on this year, which I've asked you to do, but I'm going to assign you fucking Shyamalan and Nicholas Sparks now.
And then I'm quitting under protest.
That's fine.
Love you too, Mark.
The more people I alienate, the better I feel. So
that's
anyway.
my line.
I learned it from watching you, Dad.
I've never seen Varsity Blues.
Really? Jason and I, in theory, are discussing it next month for a Super Bowl weekend.
I
Anyway,
actually want to get a hold of Mick Shea and Kat, see if they want to come on to do The Bride.
okay, great.
Since you
Glad
said I could be in charge of that, I thought, oh, how about,
you can, because I'm not going to be here. Yeah, this is Sam leaving the keys to fucking Kirstie Alley. Have fun. Try not to burn the place down. The dated Cheers reference, everybody.
Yeah, I know. Remember where
You
to put
didn't
a
have to
colon
say
and not.
dated.
I was gonna say, remember where to put a colon and not a slash, and for the love of God, change the background when you leave.
Correct. I really don't have anything else to add for the money. There's nothing in the month of fucking January that's going to make any money. I mean, maybe 28 years later, the Boneyard, but
The fact is, February may have changed, but January is still
fuck you.
the
it's January.
graveyard of
Yeah.
fucking cinema.
Again,
Still fuck
28
you,
years later
January.
will probably be okay, but
Mhm.
look, that's also going to be saved by the fact that they shot it back to back with the other 28 years later.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I told you, I finally saw the trailer, like the real trailer for Bone Temple, and
oof. It's my
I
response.
I have to ask you too, because I still haven't seen 28 Years Later yet.
pretty
Yeah.
good.
Is
First
the
half in
Jimmy
particular.
Savile thing explained?
Just say yes or no, please. I really don't want to talk about this.
What do you hang on? What do you mean by explained?
Why the fuck is there a cult dressed up like a man who is now known as a freaking pedophile?
That is not. It is very loosely explained, but it's mostly there to be stinger for the sequel.
Okay. So
It
The
opens
other-
with him as a young kid and an infected attack, and his dad's a priest, and that's the whole thing. And then he doesn't show up again until the end when we get Eurotrash Power Rangers.
So the only other movie that I think is going to make any money in January, and by any money I mean any money at all, is the Chris Pratt movie. That's Mercy. So the money segment in January is always just kind of continuing to talk about 2025. We don't.
Mostly.
I say, speaking of films that should have gone straight to streaming.
Well, I'm wondering what's because we did the schedule and I just wanted to nail things down. I wasn't really thinking about this or that. If I look at the list of 2026 movies, nothing in January. We already said that. February, is there anything here that we think makes any bit of money that really draws people to the theater?
Hang on.
Nothing that hasn't already been released.
I mean, do you think so looking through February just briefly, maybe kids will go see with their parents or go see Goat. It's a basketball animated movie. But
That's a maybe.
Wuthering Heights from Warner Brothers, maybe
That's
makes
a
some money.
maybe.
I don't think we're gonna review it, but I don't think Psycho Killer makes a ton of money.
That's there just kind of as you're throwing me a bone with that one, and we both know it.
Okay. Scream 7. I would say this is the answer to my question. Scream 7, which comes out February 27th, is the first major motion picture blockbuster of the year. So we have to wait in almost an entirety of 2 months before there's anything that's a real magnet, draw for crowds.
And even then, I think probably they're banking on Hoppers being one of the. Well, yeah. So Scream 7 is technically at the very end of February, but yeah.
Yes. So after that, we have Scream, Hoppers, The Bride.
I think they're kind of look. There's two movies that are being banked on for March for actual money makers. One's Hoppers because there's still an assumption that Pixar's relevant, which, boy, is that a more dubious proposition than you might think these days.
Mm-hmm.
And the other's Project Hail Mary for fun,
I would assume
broad appeal sci-fi.
I would assume they think Reminders of Him is going to bring the broads to the theater. And then, yeah.
The Bride's going to wind up being too art house, is my hunch, to actually.
By the way, Robert, I know you said you weren't interested in Zazie Beetz film, but did you see the trailer that dropped today for They Will Kill You?
I know it came out. I didn't get to watch it. I'm just happy to avoid Zazie Beetz as a
So
general.
I'm gonna
Trailer looks good.
I'm gonna stroke Lexus's nipples here. After Scream 7, the only movie that is a true draw to the theater, the first major blockbuster of the year besides Scream 7, is the Super Mario Brothers Galaxy movie.
Probably about accurate.
So
Mhm.
that's really all I needed to say about that.
Again, you got
all
an
right.
outside shot for Project Hail Mary because there's a market for that kind of movie that is generally underserved, and they tend to overperform when done well.
I hope
the
it's
mar-
another Wrinkle in Time and Reese Witherspoon turns into romaine lettuce.
It's gonna
Well,
be
there's a
closer to The
joke we haven't heard
Martian.
in a while.
What was that,
It's
Robert?
more like The Martian. Come on, now be serious.
Alrighty. Well, I heard books, and all I could think about was A Wrinkle in Time because books are
Much
for
as I think Ryan Gosling does in fact deserve to be dragged behind a bus.
I thought you said Ryan Gosling deserves to be turned into
The romaine lettuce. That's
romaine
what I
lettuce.
thought you were.
I'm
Why
so
would I
tired.
wish that on Ryan Gosling?
I
You
don't
just
know.
wish
Why
for
do
it to be dragged behind a bus.
For
I
a
was like,
block.
why do you wish bad things on anyone? Alrighty. Speaking of bad things on anyone, the critical review. I should hit the button first.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
All right, the kids just love it. 92% on the tomato meter, and you move over to Top Critics, it's 94. Verified audience meter is 93. All audiences is 83.
Look, I think a lot of people are overcorrecting in their reviews because it's better than Glass Onion.
Giving Benoit Blanc a worthy mystery with its genuinely soulful fixation on faith and a scene-stealing Josh O'Connor performance. Wake Up Dead Man is another Knives Out puzzle that comes together splendidly, and the audience says,
No.
I say, a twisted whodunit led by a most intriguing cast.
Name me 3 characters from this, you bunch of pansies.
Wake Up Dead Man jolts the Knives Out franchise and delivers its best mystery yet. Oh, go.
No, this is not better than the first one. Please stop, you
All right.
unserious people.
Neil Minogue of Movie Mom. I like her stuff. She's funny. A twisty plot, a knockout cast, a dash of commentary about contemporary life and searching for meaning. Josh O'Connor continues to impress with his exceptional range and the precision of his characterization.
That borders on being PR slop you were spoon-fed.
Speaking of being spoon-fed, Tim Cogshell of Film Week. This is funnier than the first two put together.
Yeah,
No,
he
it's not.
spoon-fed that line because it's not true.
The future Xmas is Robert Winfrey, Carl LaHaye of Culture Mix. Robert likes all the black women. It maintains that Knives Out franchise is a mix of an intriguing murder investigation with memorable characters, engaging performances, and some cheeky comedy. This third movie in the series skewers fanatical worship of cult-like leaders.
Once again, I'm begging anyone who said this is full of good characters to give me 3 character names other than the 2 leads. Any of them. Just give me 3 names. Don't look them up. Top of your head. 3 named characters.
Lisa Johnson Mandel of AtHomeInHollywood.com. It has 3 necessary things we expect from a Knives Out film. Gleeful direction by Rian Johnson, Daniel Craig as Southern Fried Gentleman Detective Benoit Blanc, and a killer cast. Literally. Dick.
Okay. No.
Congratulations, you even got Alexis to say you're an idiot. I have set the bar so impossibly low that you can't feasibly fail it.
Kent Garrison of Mad About Movie Podcast. I never want to leave the Benoit Blanc cinematic universe. Oh, please have something moderately bad happen to you.
Hope you get a flat tire.
Look, I'm all for getting more. Look, I know Robert will hate me for saying this, but I genuinely hope we do get more Benoit Blanc, Rian Johnson films. But again, I am a sucker for a good murder mystery. But to call it a cinematic universe, just...
The MCU did almost irreparable damage to the way we discuss franchises, and I wish it hadn't.
Alexis Haina's sex doll, Jeremy Johns of JeremyJohns.com. It is absolutely my favorite of the Knives Out films.
Well, I can't argue with your personal listing, but that speaks poorly of your taste.
The future ex-Mrs. Robert Winfrey, Aisha Harris of Pop Culture Happy Hour, NPR podcast. It's like a Final Destination movie. It's like
No.
it's like all the ways you can die and all the ways that this person was murdered. That's the fun.
This is not like a Final Destination movie.
Okay, so apparently her favorite thing to take away from this was the discussion about the possibilities of a locked door murder. In other words, just skip the movie and go to a seminar about how to write a murder mystery book.
Yeah, just no. No.
No. Stephanie Zascharek of Time Magazine, formerly a magazine. The plot of Wake Up Dead Man is fatally cluttered, and the story winds up in a blur of exposition that's not particularly clever.
Not wrong.
Where are all of our friends and wives?
Robert, should we start keeping track of how many X's he assigns us?
I'm aware of how many ones I have.
How many do you have?
I'm up to 4 unique ones now.
All black women, except for no, not Lola Lamb Chop. She's not black. Kyle Smith of the Wall Street Journal. The story begs for an elegant solution. The one presented is about as elegant as a demolition derby conducted at a landfill.
It's a bit much. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think the sentiment's wrong, but that implies a lot more than you meant to.
Sarah Clement of Pelleplat. Johnson has crafted not only his best script yet, but perhaps his most human work as a sermon disguised as a whodunit, offering an unlikely grace to a broken, divided world. Ugh.
How does this offer grace to a broken, divided world? Why are you...
It's a play on the fact that when Judd takes over, he renames the church Our Lady of Grace instead of Fortitude. She's trying to be clever about the little reveal at the end.
Such venom in that. She's trying to be clever. Patooey. Not seeing anybody good.
Not seeing anyone we usually make fun of.
Oh, look, it's Richard Krause of The Richard Krause. A tribute
do you even remember how you came about that as being
Yes,
a thing?
because of the MMA fighter, Richard Krause. He was The Richard Krause.
No, you're incorrect.
No, I am correct, because I don't know what other way it would have been.
It's an MMA fighter. The name's wrong.
I just said that. A tribute to locked room mysteries. Edgar Allan Poe's The Murders in the Rue Morgue and novelist John Dixon Carr, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery mixes spirituality and death in a story that crackles with life.
In other words, this dude is a big reader, and the fact that he recognized several of the books they mentioned made him feel like, hey, I understand this.
His review could have been replaced with an AI.
Alexis Haynes' sex slave, Nick Johnson of Vanyaland. Compared to Glass Onion, Wake Up Dead Man feels like a return to form.
Accurate.
But not really. I don't know why that was picked for that.
There we go. The future ex-Mrs. Alexis Hayner, Grace Randolph of Beyond the Trailer.
Wishing for poor Grace Randolph to be the victim of domestic abuse like that.
Thank you. I was wondering if you were going to do the bit. A fascinating every time I say,
dude, Alexis, you would beat that woman, and we would all understand. No jury would convict.
Every time I mention you and Grace Randolph are an item, we always talk about how you guys eventually come to blows. A fascinating exploration of faith from a modern perspective and a very good murder mystery. To boot, Josh O'Connor is so good as a young priest, he actually outshines Daniel Craig. The only weak part is
give
John's
Daniel
humble
Craig
cast
anything
is a
to
missed
do.
opportunity.
Daniel Craig is like Benoit Blanc isn't given much to actually do in this story. It's a bit of a weird choice.
The third part of the throuple between Robert Winfrey and Alexis Hayner, Amy Nicholson of Los Angeles Times.
You want to help me bury a body, Alexis?
Oh, gladly.
I will go down laughing. It does seem like this. I'll go down coughing is more likely, but I will also be laughing. It does seem like this impassioned crowd pleaser is asking how many Christians recognize Jesus if he walks amongst us today, and if today's church would still thank their Savior for purging it of scoundrels.
Once again, we have someone widely and just deliberately being obtuse about the nature of Christianity. So you know what? Good for you.
Speaking of widely obtuse, the former ex-Mrs. Robert Winfrey, Carla Renata of the Curvy Film Critic. Knives Out is as sharp as a tack in a chapter in which Johnson truly has outdone himself, pouncing unapologetically into the prongs of hypocrisy. And I think hypocrisy is spelled wrong. Yep, too many C's. Well done.
Well, at least you know it wasn't AI done. Proving she's a real girl with her bad spelling.
All right, I found enough of your significant others, I think. Oh, Rachel Leichman of the Mary Sue, Robert Winfrey. Visionary and contained, this movie proves why Johnson is a master of this genre, and I would watch 200 more of these movies with Daniel Craig at the center of them. Ma'am, please stop telling us about your autism.
Why are we trying to turn every little point of interest and obsession into a diagnosis of spectrum, being on the spectrum? I really hate it. More importantly, don't try to lump that poor woman in with the autistics. That gives her an excuse.
Okay, Robert. Do one more of these. Let's see. Who do I want to pick on? Let your fingers do the walking. Christy Pushko of Mashable. Wake Up Dead Man is sharply written, passionately brought to life, and thoughtfully built with allusions galore in this costumes, characters, novels, lore, and more.
Not really, but okay.
She just really liked the symbolism of the fish brooch that Glenn Close wears.
I'd assume.
Alrighty. Well, folks, that is the end of this podcast. We are no more. No. That is the end of our review tonight. Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out movie. Next week, Robert and I are back on the triple feature. We'll be looking at Begonia, Hamnet, and Maudie Supreme. I finally get to gush about Maudie Supreme for at least a third of that.
Assuming I can, it's going to be curious how reasonable it's going to be for me to get to a few of those, but I will do what I must to be adequately prepared for the podcast, Mark.
You have
for what it's worth, Begonia's on Peacock.
I'm aware of where that one is.
Good. Actually, I didn't know, so I appreciate that.
Now, that one I'd looked up because I will be watching that. And if you want to understand, everybody, if you want to see Mark and I get into a borderline fist fight,
again,
tune into this one where Mark goes, but it's Greek, while I lament Begonia and Yorgos Lanthimos' continued existence and the poor things he makes Emma Stone do.
So, Chris Owens was not satisfied with my top 10 list and my bottom 5 list. He then asked me for 5, count them, 5 honorable mentions. So I said, in no particular order, Mission Impossible, him, A Working Man. I can't remember the other one I said. And then at the end of it, I was like, and probably F1. And then I said, and probably Begonia. So I'm anticipating liking this movie enough to say honorable mention. Now, please leave me alone, you psycho.
Well, that's partially because you chose to engage with a psycho.
Fair.
I'm just wishing Robert Godspeed and trying to watch Begonia and Hamnet back to back because that's probably just going to send him into a wave of despair.
Have you seen Hamnet?
You were telling us about how depressing it is. I haven't.
Okay, but I didn't know if you were like confirming that or not.
No, haven't seen it yet. I actually don't even know if it's still in theaters around here or not. I need to take a look.
Okay, well,
my assumption at this point is that it's on digital. Look, I will power through all of this. Yorgos Lanthimos doesn't have the power to actually depress me. All he does is annoy me.
I'm just going off of what Evan wrote on Facebook. He and I got into a joke about Yorgos Lanthimos' films and about how it's most of them it is best to watch them with your favorite controlled substance.
Look, I think he's done nothing but go downhill since Dogtooth, and that was his first movie.
All right, we're to watch Hamnet. Hamnet is still in theaters. It might hang on the Apple TV page. It says, it doesn't. Yeah, it just says Academy Award winner Chloe Zhao. It does not tell you. Yeah, it says coming soon for 2025. So it is not streaming anywhere yet.
Well, like I said, I will figure out something. I will make sure if I can find it playing around me, I will happily go see that. If not, well, I will find something.
Okay. All right, I unfroze finally. We got a comment here. Hey, what's your numerical ranking? I'm number one. I'm number one. I don't know what numerical ranking for what. If you're asking for our top tens, see our previous show. We did a whole hour on that. All right. Yes, Begonia, Hamnet, Marty Supreme. Can't wait.
Yeah, that'll be something.
Tomorrow at 9:30, my girlfriend will be hosting her very first podcast, coming straight from her engagement where she fell asleep on our podcast talking about the hand that rocks the cradle. She's back again, and she's bringing a friend from TikTok Live. They're going to talk the entirety of the Gilmore Girls series because there was no fucking way I was reviewing it. So she's getting her chance to host her own show. And hopefully she doesn't
she's
burn down the
engaged
bar.
and wants to talk about it, Godspeed.
That's what I said. I was like, if you feel like you can handle it. Speaking of handling it, Harry and I will be doing our first Indie-Cider show of the year. We'll be talking IWR, Bash, Christmas, something or other. And then on Thursday, we're kicking off the triple features proper with a John Hughes motherfucker triple feature. We are going to be looking at Weird Science, which apparently traumatized my children.
Your children are weird.
16 Candles and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which, shock of all shocks, is not a movie I actually like.
You don't like Ferris Bueller?
No, I don't. I don't need that kind of power fantasy in my life. I'm perfectly capable of engaging and chasing my dreams. I don't need Ferris Bueller, and I find him to be obnoxious.
You are. You know what? That's more revealing about you than you may know.
I own who I am. That's okay. My you don't have to insult me. My girlfriend, as I'm watching the movie with her, and I tell her, I don't actually like this movie. I'm doing it because it completes the John Hughes arc, in a way that others don't. And she was like, "What do you About 2 minutes of me explaining why I don't like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, she just looks at me and she goes, "You're a boomer," and that was her entire argument.
Well, for the record, if you want a more nuanced and
you don't want to scream "boomer" in my face.
The day that
I thought you were Gen X.
He is.
That's what I thought.
The day that my rhetorical argument is limited to ageism is the day I stop doing this.
Okay. That's what we got going on. As of next week, like I said, yesterday, myself and Jesse got together and we did our first comic book show of the year. We did Cobra Commander. We did Darth Maul and Shredder in Hell. That was an interesting read. Next Sunday, I will be doing with Jesse a mini-series about the Nixon and Watergate break-in called White House Plumbers. That was on HBO Max. So we got that going on. The aforementioned Begonia, Hamnet, Marty Supreme. The following Wednesday, we are doing the first season of Sports Night with Gavin Newsom, with Gavin from the Casual Heroes and Jesse. And then on
are you still at the point where you can refer to him that way, or has that been dead long enough that's no longer appropriate?
I still refer to Ronnie as from the Casual, from from the Screaming Boy. So
Yeah, but you do that. You do that ironically.
And then Thursday, we're kicking off Black History Month a little early. Myself and Jason Teasley will be doing Bamboozled by Spike Lee. One of the Spike Lee movies I hadn't gotten to yet, and I really wanted to. So
most Spike Lee movies are terrible. So
you're terrible. Speaking of terrible, Alexis, do your
plugs. That's not actually a retort.
I'm sorry. Are you two done?
We were done 20 minutes ago. Start your plugs.
For some reason, Mark decided to defend Spike Lee by insulting me personally.
Yeah, I always defend Spike. They did a whole thing about him. Come on, we're not letting Alexis do her plugs. We're going to let Alexis do her plugs here. Let her get a word in edgewise. She's trying to do her plugs. Trying to end the show here. I don't understand why you got to keep going on and on and on with the mouth. I say. Do your plugs.
Next week, Jesse Starcher and I will be returning to do our final look at Stranger Things, the Stranger Things Season 5 retrospective on January 13th.
The 9th episode, Alexis.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. What?
If you're going to do your Stranger Things retrospective, you have to talk about the secret epilogue that's going to be due to come out in the near future.
You didn't even
Not
watch
me.
the show. No, you didn't watch the show. You do not get to bitch about the 5th season if you didn't watch it, okay?
This is not about my personal grievances. This is me saying that you can't talk about it without talking about the growing number of fans who are doing with this what people did with Game of Thrones and are like, so they're going to fix this, right? This isn't actually the end.
So also,
Yeah,
when has not watching something stopped Robert from bitching about it?
Yeah, very true. But frankly, we are going to be talking about how the fans who won't stop whining that Elle and Mike didn't end up together, they could go take their shipping and ship it up their ass.
Wonderful.
Fan fiction has made everything worse. I think.
Yes, it has, actually. I will never argue with you about that. Week after that, we will be taking a look at It. Welcome to Derry. Jesse Starch will be back on for that, and Ben Cologne will be joining us. Really excited to have him on for that.
He gave you some artwork that you could use for a title card for that.
Oh, he already did this. But he does the sketchbook Saturdays.
Yeah, no, I saw it. I'm like, you should use that.
Gorgeous piece of Pennywise. That man has a talent for doing like a backlit style.
Oh,
the way he frames with the lighting is incredible. I love it. Love your work, Ben. Working on getting a bunch of other shows on the schedule. Been a little busy over the holidays, but we are going to be adding Fallout Season 2 and Percy Jackson Season 2, among others. And there's a lot of shows coming out that I need to figure out what their schedule is so I can try to get them on the calendar as soon as possible. As far as personal plugs, Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. I do want to give a shout out to everyone who purchased anything from either our Etsy or Handmade at Amazon stores over the holiday rush. We did our charity drive. From every order that was placed between Black Friday and Christmas Eve, we donated $5 to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Thanks to you guys, we saw a 30% increase in our donation from last year. So thank you so much for coming out. You've really helped, do some wonderful things for a really wonderful organization. Still in the middle of restocking the store as soon as I can have time to stop making Vox earrings. The Has-Been Hotel rush has been crazy this holiday.
Imagine why.
Yeah, everyone wants a pair of earrings with Vox's logo on it, so I've been working on those nonstop. So doing that, it's going to be a few months before our first convention of the year, and that's going to be Planet Comic-Con here in Kansas City. That's not till the last weekend in March. We are cutting back on conventions quite a bit this year for a couple of reasons. I'll be updating as our schedule gets a little more finalized. As always, you can find us on Etsy and Handmade at Amazon. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok. That's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
All right. Robert, take me home, baby doll.
I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over at 411mania.com. UFC events on Saturdays. There's not one of those until January 24th, so I have plenty of Saturdays off to start the year.
Yeah, you have plenty of Saturdays to travel around Utah to try to find Marty Supreme and Hamnet.
Anyway.
What's the blinking about, pal? You going to make a left at the right-hand corner?
It was me trying to remember my Morse code.
Will we get him?
That's a reference that I don't think anyone else is going to get. So my Saturdays are free. I cover WWE SmackDowns on Fridays. Because we reached the year of our Lord 2026, SmackDown is 3 hours long again. And it's a long 3 hours. It's a long 3 hours. Last week, couple of okay matches. This coming week, they're in Berlin. Which technically means we're going to get something that's already happened here in the States. It'll be live on, Netflix and whatnot.
Not
That is-
3 times on the ceiling.
That's a great freeze frame for him.
Da, 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 twice on the pipe. So, your husband was doing what now?
He was ripping up cardboard. He bought. We're getting ready to sell the house. We're trying to fix up all the leftover things that we need to get done. Oh, he's moving again. He's moving.
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh my God, Robin came back to life. Hello, Robin. Welcome
That
back.
happens. Where
Sorry,
was I
Robert.
when I got
We
cut
love
off?
you, man, but you were frozen, just like, it was hilarious.
I was talking about SmackDown, so that facial expression being frozen is apropos.
Moving on.
This week again, it's 3 hours now that we're in 2026, and it's a long show. This week, the main event is a 3 stages of hell match for the WWE title between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. They have drugged that feud out longer than it needed to because their planned introductions of life into it had health issues, so they just stuck us with more Cody and Drew. And we're all kind of sick of it at this point. But there hasn't been a 3 stages of hell match on WWE proper since John Cena and Ryback, of all people, in 2013. So we'll see how that goes. Is there anything else? Yeah, again, Mark mentioned it next week. We'll be back to talking some more movies. Mark will be just effusive with his praise, and I will be questioning my continued association with so much of this.
Well, questioning our continued association with so much of this is the phrase that pays here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. So, for gloomy gumdrops and rainbow hair, I'm going to bed. Be well, be safe, and behave.